Hey, this is Isaiah from YourHead Software. Today we're talking about the Stacks plugin and some of the cool features we've added to version 5. This year we're really focused on workflow, and what that means is making things easier for novices and more powerful for experts. Let's see how we can do both by adding a Stacks menu. I'm going to dive in and open up RapidWeaver, switch to my big view. You may have noticed from some of our other videos that there's now a Stacks menu right here in the top menu bar. And this is a perfect example of what we mean when we say easier for novices and more powerful for experts. Those things seem like they might be diametrically opposed, but with a little bit of creative user interface, we can achieve both at the same time. So the Stacks menu is the perfect place for a new user to get to learn Stacks. You can select something and then check out the menu and see what's available to do to it. We can move it around, select other things, hide it, lock it, create a partial. This lets us learn all of the features of Stacks all in one place. And if we're scratching our head trying to figure out what else is available, it's a good reminder. But it's also a great place if you're an expert, because we've added a comprehensive set of key bindings this year, and the Stacks menu has a built-in quick reference to it. All of the key bindings are listed on the menu, and they're really all new this year, and they all work well together. There's a new video if you want to get a jump start on using Stacks just with the keyboard. Check that video out. But in this video, well, I like to pride myself at being able to talk directly to novice users and build software that just about anybody can use. But I think we all know how to use a menu by now, so I'm not going to spend time teaching people how to use a menu. But we've added new features all over Stacks this year, and a lot of those are listed in the Stacks menu. So let's have a walk down and look at a few things that are added this year that just happen to be in the Stacks menu. So first up, I want to look at the new Select All features because they're implemented in a really pragmatic way that you might find interesting. Secondly, let's check out the new movement commands because boy are those useful. And third, we've added some new behavior to partials, and I think the experts are really going to like that one. So first up, Select All. So you might think Select All means, literally, to select every single stack throughout the hierarchy and the layout. But I really couldn't come up with even one use case where that was useful. And selecting every single thing in the whole layout is, well, not very performant. So I kind of racked my brain and thought, what will people be using Select All for? And the most obvious use case is when you just want to clear out a page and start fresh. So let's give that a shot. I'll choose Select All Stacks. And instead of selecting every single stack, it selects just the top level hierarchy stacks, because that's exactly what you need to hit the delete key and start fresh. Perfect. It's the most performant way to implement it, and I think it's what people will use it the most for. I mean, there are all sorts of other uses for Select All, but I kind of feel like that's the one that's going to get the most use. All right, I'm going to Command Z to undo and bring everything back. Now, did you notice there's a second Select All in there? It's not really select everything, it's again a little bit different. And it helps us select everything inside of a container. So here I have a 2-column stack, and it contains these 4 stacks, 2 images and 2 HTML stacks. So I'm just going to select an HTML stack and choose Select All Within Stack, or Option A. And it selects those 4 stacks inside of that container. Now, I think you'll find that useful, but even more useful is how it works with more than one stack. So let's say I select that same HTML stack, and also, by holding down the Command key, select this stack over here. Now with an Option A, I can select everything in that entire row, hit the Delete key, and again, start fresh on this row. I'm going to Command Z, undo, to bring everything back again. Now, you might notice a pattern here as I walk through each of these examples, because all of the new stuff in stacks not only works with multiple stacks, but works in a very similar and consistent way. That way, if you learn how to use one sort of feature and how it works with multiple stacks, you pretty much know how it's going to work in all the other corners of stacks. So let's give another one a shot. Down below are the new movement commands. These are brand new this year, but I swear they feel like they've been there forever, because they're so useful that about 10 minutes after I finished implementing these, they were already committed to memory and part of my normal workflow. It's just like they were second nature instantaneously. So let's try them with the keyboard, because I think that's where it's most useful. It's Option arrow and Option down arrow. Option up arrow and Option down arrow. Let's give it a shot. So we've always been able to move the selection up and down with the arrow keys. But now by holding down the Option key, it does the same but moves the whole stack too. And if you keep going, it will jump the stack right out of the container. And then carry on up all the way till it gets to the top. I'm going to undo just to get it back to its original position. Now, as fun as that is, and easy as it is to memorize and become second nature, I think it's even more interesting when you use it with multiple stacks. Whenever you do an action that changes multiple stacks, what stacks will do first is kind of group them into the same spot in the layout. Then it will perform the action. So the spot in the layout that it's going to choose is always the topmost or leftmost, sort of like a book, left to right, top to bottom. And then it will perform the action. So let's select these 2 stacks, and we'll move them together upwards. And what's going to happen is it's going to group them together, and it's going to choose the leftmost or topmost. Well, they're the same position vertically, but it's going to move them over here to the left. And then it's going to perform the action, move up. So let's give it a try. Move stacks up. Boom. Grouped together, moved up 1 position. It's a great way to quickly move a bunch of things into one spot. So let me undo, and let's try this. We'll choose all of the images, and then I'm going to move them all out of the bottom of the layout, just to get them out of the way. So we'll choose Move Stacks to Bottom. Boom. Now these stacks are out of the bottom of the layout, and the rest of my layout is just the text now. So we can work on those things together. I'll undo to get things back into position. So again, when we're working with multiple stacks, the movement commands all work the same. And this is a good segue to talking about the new behavior in partials, because it works exactly like the movement commands do. Exactly like the movement command does. But at the end, it's going to create a partial too. So let's give it a shot. This time, let's see, let's choose this mushroom and this flower, and then this HTML stack up here. So this time, when we create a partial, it's going to group these things together at the topmost and leftmost position, right up here with this HTML stack, of course, and then create a partial. So let's give it a shot. Create a partial. Now, I should note that I'm using the menu here because this is supposed to be the video about menus, but it works the same no matter how you create the partial. You could use the partial button just like we've always done, or use the menu command, or even the new keyboard binding, Option B. So we created the partial. It has the HTML stack and those two images that we had selected. And when we back out, it should be at the position of the topmost thing. There it is. We have a partial right there at the top. There's also a nice little keyboard binding for unpacking a partial. So that one's Option Return. And that'll just explode that partial right here into this position. So Option Return, and boom. It's pretty much just like clicking the button, but sometimes you don't want to reach for the mouse. If you keep your hands on the keyboard, you can move a little bit more quickly. All right, I'm going to undo, which jumps back into the partial, and then undo one more time. That gets things back into position. So that's a quick look at a few kind of disparate pieces of functionality that we've added this year to Stacks that all appear inside the Stacks menu, and how that works to make things easier for novices and more powerful for experts, both at the same time. Now, I'd really like to hear back any feedback you have about these new features, any of them, or the Stacks menu, what you think about it, good or bad. We've added a new Discord group this year. If you're not familiar with Discord, it's a new sort of chat system. And we added the Discord server 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we already have over 250 members. So definitely go to the bottom of any of our web pages and click the link, join the Discord group, and tell us what you think in the chat. Or there's also Discord forum posts, so you can post a long-term question there if you like. There's lots of experts on the Discord, and everybody seems pretty helpful and nice. So yeah, come join in the chat, tell us what you think, and thanks for watching.